And just moments ago, President Trump witnessed the dignified transfer of 2 Iowa National Guard members killed in an attack in Syria. Let's take a look at that. Now, President Trump, as you can see, was at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware for this solemn ritual. And 2 Iowa National Guardsmen and a civilian interpreter as well were killed in Syria on Saturday in an apparent ambush. So, a bit more details on the attack. The attacker targeted a convoy of American and Syrian forces in a central Syrian town. And now the names of the 2 National Guard members are Sergeant Edgar Brian Torres Tovar. He was 25 years old, of Des Moines. And the other person was Sergeant William Nathaniel Howard. And he was just 29 years old, of Marshalltown. And both of them served in the 1st Squadron, 113th Cavalry Regiment. So now, there is no formal role for the president at a dignified transfer, other than just to watch in silence, and there is no speaking by any of the dignitaries who attend, with the only words coming from military officials who direct the highly choreographed transfers. Now, as you can see, President Trump is saluting there with the Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. Now, Trump did not arrive with First Lady Melania Trump. He came alone. And her office didn't give a reason why as to she was not able to attend. And the Iowa National Guard members are hailed as heroes, of course. And just some statements here. Howard's stepfather, Jeffrey Bunn, has said, I'm just reading this quote from the father, Howard loved what he was doing and would be the first in and last out. He said Howard had wanted to be a soldier since he was a boy. And in a social media post, Bunn, who is chief of the Tampa, Iowa Police Department, said Howard was a loving husband and an amazing man of faith. He said Howard's brother, a staff sergeant in the Iowa National Guard, would escort Nate back to Iowa. Torres Tovar was remembered as a very positive, family-oriented person. He always put others first, and this is according to fellow Guard members who were deployed with him, and issued a statement to the local TV broadcast station, WOI. Okay, a little bit of information from the interpreter, the civilian interpreter. He was from Iraq, a small Catholic village south of Mosul, and the family immigrated to the U.S. back in 2007 on a special visa. At the time of his death, the interpreter was employed as an independent contractor for Virginia-based Valiant Integrated Services. And the interpreter's family was still struggling to believe that he is gone. They're saying he was a devoted father and a husband and a courageous interpreter and a man who believed deeply in the mission he served. And as you can see now, service members are bringing the casket holding the body of the soldiers out from the plane. Let's just watch for a moment in silence. Okay, now for some reactions from President Trump to the attack in Syria. Trump told reporters over the weekend that he was mourning the deaths, and he did in fact vow retaliation. So the most recent instance of U.S. service members killed in action was actually back in January 2024, when 3 American troops died in a drone attack in Jordan. So Saturday's attack followed a rapprochement between the U.S. and Syria, if you remember that, bringing the former pariah state into a U.S.-led coalition fighting the Islamic State group. And we've seen President Trump forging a relationship with interim Syrian President Ahmed al-Shara. And he did invite him to the White House as well last month. Trump said on Monday that the attack had nothing to do with the Syrian leader, who Trump also said was devastated by what happened. So the second casket is being brought out from the plane, and the reason why there is no sound, because there's no speaking by any of the dignitaries who attend. The only words coming from military officials who actually direct the choreographed transfers. This is not a ceremonial event, but a solemn military ritual to honor U.S. service members killed in action. And as you can see, the transfer involves flag-draped transfer cases being carried from the aircraft to waiting vehicles by military teams. So after the transfer, the remains will be taken to the facility at Dover, where identification will be conducted and preparation for a final burial of the bodies. Now, what you're witnessing is President Trump meeting with family members of 2 Iowa National Guard members and a U.S. civilian who were killed in action. The meeting was actually held at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware, where this ritual is being held as we speak right now. So Trump was joining the families and top administration and military officials to watch the dignified transfer of the remains. And as you can see, President Trump at the site right now. And this solemn, dignified transfer ritual honors U.S. service members killed in action. Trump, who traveled to Dover several times in his first term, described it as what he says is the toughest thing he had to do as a president. Now, the 2 guardsmen killed in Syria on Saturday were Sergeant Edgar Brian Torres Tovar. He was 25 of Des Moines, and Sergeant William Nathaniel Howard, 29 of Marshalltown. And according to the U.S. Army, both were members of the 1st Squadron, 113th Cavalry Regiment, and have been hailed as heroes by the Iowa National Guard. So both Torres Tovars and Howard's families were at Dover for the return of the remains. And this is alongside the Iowa governor, Kim Reynolds, and members of Iowa's congressional delegation and leaders of the Iowa National Guard. And their remains will be taken to Iowa after the transfer. Okay, the ritual is coming to a close now. Key officials leaving the site.